McGrory, who received her Bachelor of Architecture from the Boston Architectural College in 2002. She has over 15 years of experience, has worked with the Austin architects since 2004 as project manager and project designer, and in that capacity she's been responsible for the project management of the UMass Dartmouth Clarie T renovation, this very library. In addition, Jennifer has taught at the Boston Architectural College since 2005, and she's currently teaching, actually I think this is from last semester. Last semester she taught a course here with Professor Robert Dors entitled Topics in Sustainability on Campus at UMass Dartmouth. In 2008, Jennifer was named one of the top 10 architect designers by the Boston Women's Business Journal, which is great. Congratulations.
So, okay, as I mentioned, library project. So our client team, UMass Dartmouth, which is the library department, as well as the facilities planning, design, and construction, and then Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance. And for those of you who don't know, they're the agency in the state of Massachusetts who builds buildings. So they are responsible for nearly every public works project, building project in Massachusetts. Design team, led by Design Lab Architects, and Austin Architects is the associate architect, and generally Austin Architects oversaw the renovation portion, and Design Lab oversaw the addition. We have a consultant team. I don't know how many of you are in engineering divisions here, but our consultant team was 16 different firms, which each provided specialized knowledge of different parts and pieces of this project. That's all of the different teams here. And then we had a construction team led by Consigli Construction, and then over 30 different subcontractors and vendors, and you've probably seen a lot of them wandering around your campus. And then finally, there was the vision and the generosity of the Carney family. The project had many different challenges and specifically goals, and I just want to start off briefly talking about the goals of what we wanted to achieve with this renovation, and now it's done, so you can tell us if we did or didn't achieve that. But we had campus and community goals, generally to try to create a center for social interaction here at the library and really impact the student experience here. There were some other secondary goals about creating great outdoor spaces and establishing standards for how to do a project like this throughout your campus and all of your other buildings that you have here. We had some other programmatic goals, and architecturally, program is how you use the space. So we wanted to increase student and staff interaction and create many different types of student study areas, and then also improve your access to the library collections. That meaning paper books or also technology. And then finally, the building itself has all the different systems which needed major work, mechanical, electrical, energy efficiency, upgrades. I'm sure as you've been elsewhere on campus, you know the realities that you're faced of everywhere here. But this project is also a LEED certified building, and we also want to improve accessibility, especially handicap accessibility within this building. And then finally, some enhanced technology. So the library, as well as the campus, they have a tremendous history, and we wanted to capitalize on the successes of the existing building, but also correct or perhaps re-envision some of the building failures that are here. We couldn't do this project without analyzing the architectural legacy of Rudolph and the UMD campus. One of the most powerful campus precedents we looked at was the atriums, and everyone's mentioned them many times today. And we saw that the atriums as capturing a lot of the goals that we thought a modern library was seeking to capture as well. And I'll be coming back to that, but these are two historic images of the atrium. So this is when your campus opened as Southeastern Massachusetts Technical Institute. So I just love to point out the colors and the banners that you may not have seen, or you've seen being brought back to the campus now, but it was there originally. So there are a lot of existing challenges that we sought to improve, finding the entrances, and that has been a complaint of a lot of different Rudolph projects throughout many of his buildings. It's a criticism, and you can make judgments upon it yourself. We wanted to re-envision some of the more unwelcoming areas, like the space underneath the lecture halls. We wanted to update some of the program, and especially technology, that was not available. So the lack of group study areas, not enough electricity in the right places, lots of power poles and wire mold that you can see in this large image of what used to be the Scholarly Commons. And then just needing to add technology to public spaces and office spaces. Prior to the renovation, there was no dedicated presentation space. It was within the browsing area, so it had to do double duty for both, and it probably did both of them poorly. And then we had some aging building systems that were, the way that the building originally was outfitted, there were 54 individual fan coil units. So to the question about whether or not Rudolph considered sustainability, I don't believe it was really part of his initial designs. And in terms of architectural history at that time, I don't believe that was something people were addressing. Oil was cheap, and if you needed to heat or cool things, you just pumped in more oil. I think that's the way that we dealt with it. And having 54 individual fan coil units in the building is expressive of that, and then single pane glazing being another one. The units were difficult to maintain and then also loud, and you can see this one was right next to the only presentation area in the space. Excellent planning, but a challenge. There was also just aging building systems throughout the building. You're seeing the old mechanical room as well as the original elevators and the original plumbing, which was all generally in place when we started the construction in 2010. And there was a lack of flexible furniture. Most of the furniture was fixed in place. And aside from the fact that that's not how people would prefer to use tables, it really didn't accommodate group study areas or how students are studying today. And in addition, private offices for the people who work in this building started to encroach into the public areas. The image on the far left is a cantilever that's been overtaken by a private office, and this image on the right with these sort of blue-colored cubicle walls is what's in the grand reading room in the honors area now. So it was spaces that were really beautiful spaces overtaken in a way that wasn't very respectful of the beauty of the space. This image shows some office expansion over time. So everything that's darkly colored became basically private office space in the building. And I just wanted to point out how many of the cantilevers throughout the building, especially on the 3rd and 5th floor where you have the cantilevers, were overtaken by private office spaces. Rudolph's original intent, we see that from his original drawings, those were all dedicated student spaces in the building generally, except for a very select few. But he intended them to be student spaces, to have couches in them, looking out the large windows out to the east and west sides of your campus. And that ceased to exist over the life of the building. And then we also had the conditions of the book stack areas. They were dark, the lighting was not ideal for bookcases, and it was difficult to navigate. There were these student spaces inside the bookcase areas, which you have now. We've reinvented them, but these were challenging to find, as well as just navigating through the book collection was challenging because bookcases were added over time, and the signage was sort of added to the ends of the book panels and wasn't very easy to navigate. But there are also a lot of really beautiful successes in the original design that we wanted to capitalize on. So the large double height spaces in the building. There's only a few of them in the library, and we really tried to utilize those in the best way. the library's connectivity to the other buildings on the campus, that sort of invisible line is showing the large connecting path that you can take all the way down throughout to Dion at the other end of the campus. And that's really something special about your campus. When you think about other campuses you might visit, you might have to be going in and outside of buildings, but the ability to walk on the second floor of this building and really travel the whole length of it is really something special. And then we had all these really wonderful signature Rudolph features, like the seating pits and the happenings, as we've been calling them, but also the original bright carpet colors and the cantilevered student spaces, and then the just the architectural heritage of your campus. I know we've been talking about that a lot today, but as something that Connor mentioned, that Rudolph had the ability to make concrete, which is a really heavy, solid substance, really look like lightweight and sculptural. And you know, it's pretty amazing to think about these massive, massive third and fifth floors that are extending out on very slender columns coming down. And its point at which it touches the ground is really, really small and subtle. And you have these behemoth buildings. And then in addition, when you go to the atrium spaces, how open and airy they are. So after analysis and programming, we began to develop design concepts, and I want to run through a few of the key ones for us. One of them was office relocation. As I mentioned, they were sort of scattered all about this. As you have the library now in its renovated form, we've really tried to place as many offices as possible on the fourth floor and really compartmentalize them there. And opening up the rest of the building for student spaces. We were building to the interior of the building and leaving the exterior open for either shared workstations or just the ability for natural light to move as deeply into the building as you can. This is a really deep floor plate, and natural light doesn't get all the way through it. We made a lot of changes to the book stacks. One of the key ones being the reorientation. So if you weren't at the library before the renovation, this may not be something you perceived, but we took the original book stacks, which is over on the left, that were oriented north and south, and now we've turned them all 90 degrees and we've oriented them east and west. And you might say, what does this really affect here? You know, it looks like you're getting about the same quantity of books in here, and it wasn't really about getting more books in here. But the issue can be seen really well in this room. The north and south faces of this building have these ribbed block walls here. And when you look straight through here, you see concrete. But when you turn your body 90 degrees and you look out to the east or the west faces, that's the cantilevers, and you see the wide expanses of windows. So you have the ability now in these aisles to get views all the way through the building. And that really never happened before. Some of the other things we did within the book stacks was to provide low shelves for the art books, wider aisles, and we improved the wayfinding. We have new signage in there, and then new lighting that's made just for book stacks. We finally also created multiple study spaces within them, like the image on the far left corner, which is at the other side of this floor. It's that third floor space with lots of different types of seating. But then also in the lower left corner is the compact shelving in the basement. So we took what was 4 floors filled with books, and you now have basically 2 floors filled with books. Where did the difference go? A lot of those books are in the basement. So we've really tried to capitalize on the public spaces for students within the habitable floors of the building. Another major move we did was to take the Romeo and Juliet stair, or the monumental stair that was on the exterior of the building, and move it inside. And in doing so, the addition that you see, which is really sort of capturing the second floor space, created the spaces in front of the lecture halls, and provide seating and really wonderful views and that lovely space towards the quad of the campus. And then finally we have the happenings, which has been talked about many times today. We were really building from the original Rudolph community spaces that we saw. And these could be the interiors or the exteriors. So here that sort of orange is an analysis of these forms, these nautilus forms that he used as the gathering points or the catch basins within the campus for people. And some of them were outside and some of them were inside, like the atrium spaces. These were really influential to us, and we saw these as some of the best and most successful community spaces in there. So we've tried to do the same thing. This is a view of the first floor plan with the addition. And you see the darker brown areas are what we're considering are happening, some of them being Rudolph's original ones. So, that's a Rudolph original happening, which we really didn't manipulate too much. But then our new fireplaces, which we tried to use sort of the cave mentality of Rudolph's to create those nooks. And we've done, most of our happenings are utilizing the walnut wood, which you see all around, and tried to use wood in a sculptural way. The way that Rudolph might have used concrete, we're doing with wood here. We also have this exterior curtain, and the image on the left is one of the original Rudolph curtains that used to carry throughout the campus. And these were interior curtains along the large windows. And we've actually, there's only a few of these left in the campus, and if you want to see some, there's some in the archives. But we're bringing that curtain idea back out to the exterior of the building in the sunshades that are slowly being installed in the South Reading Room, the Grand Reading Room, but also are fully installed in the addition. So you can see them there, and we've actually started to apply the building signage to those as well. We built off the history of the campus, the original textile history of the New Bedford textile school that was here, but then also the original colors that were in the building and the art that was prevalent at the time of this construction. And we've been utilizing that to how we're bringing color into the space. Our own color theories apply to this, and you see that throughout here, and really trying to imbue really deep colors to compete with the heaviness of the concrete. We also installed a new graphics and wayfinding system. There was a lot of analysis of the graphics that were the graphics and the font development that was of the period of the original building, 1972 opening. We reinvented them to sort of have this expression of the CTCL, which you'll see in our white-on-white plastic panels that are up, but then also the colored panels, the banners, and so forth. And you can see that expression it's carrying through. So we use it to imbue wayfinding, but also to create a playful memorial to Mrs. Carney, who made a lot of this possible. And finally, the other design concept was to make this a sustainable model for the campus. We have all the new building systems, which I've mentioned, but like the mechanical systems, the electrical systems, lighting, elevators, restrooms. The project is also seeking LEED certification, and it's compliant with the Massachusetts LEED Plus program. So in thinking about the library transformations, nice sort of before and after shot of that space. The architectural transformation is really critical here, but I want to bring it back to the library transformation, about what the function of the space is, and how this project really expresses the evolving role of the library on the campus. The library is no longer this warehouse for books, and we really tried to balance the space for people within the building, and basically providing more space for the people, making the information accessible in print or electronic form, having prominent service points throughout the building where people can help people, and also improving the self-service points like the patron access catalogs that you see behind the elevators. Really understanding the role of technology in scholarship at UMass Dartmouth, and incorporating that everywhere possible. Providing a variety of study spaces for all the different methods in which study happens today. South Reading Room is the first dedicated quiet study space that the library ever had. But then we also have a variety of other types of study spaces: individual, group study spaces, formal, enclosed spaces. Having a cafe on the first floor, which I think is well loved already. And then seeing the library as a center of campus events, presentations, things like today. We have a dedicated presentation space, a space for different campus events, like the Study Abroad Fair, I think is happening there, and admissions events, hosting distinguished visitors like Senator Warren, who's in that photograph, and just hosting all sorts of UMass Dartmouth celebrations. And making this place a destination on campus. It's a place people want to be. I think today we saw that. It's beautiful weather. People are sitting outside, enjoying even the exterior space like they are in this image. But the major goal of the library was to really create the best spaces possible for the students. And some numbers here. There's over 1,500 seats that are in the building. Over 130 people work in the building now. And there's over 200 computers for student use, as well as a lot of outlets for you to bring your own computer to. And just, I think, some really wonderful space on campus. This space is now in the UMass commercial, all UMass college commercial. They've chosen to use the library as the image of the campus now. So we know everyone here had to live through a very long period of construction. It was noisy, it was disruptive, and we thank you for your patience throughout this process. We know it's not easy. But now we think that this project shows a way to reinvent the campus architecture for the next generation of UMD students. It can be a sustainable architecture. And we can also celebrate the design goals of Rudolph, that the ones that he did successfully, and then also help to sort of maybe refocus the ones that aren't so well aligned with what's happening in a university setting today. We don't need to tear down brutalist buildings. We can renovate them in a way to reduce operational costs and environmental impact and increase the campus's adaptability, durability, and lifespan. And we can do this while restoring what's beautiful about campus architecture and provide learning spaces that you need here at UMD. And this project we hope to see as the beginning of that library transformation. Thank you. One final note, just as I'm ending on this picture. I think it's interesting to have heard this quote about the cave versus the fishbowl, and I spent a lot of time thinking about what Rudolph would say. What would Rudolph do if he saw this building today? And I don't know if he would see this as a fish tank or a fishbowl, perhaps. But I think I've heard from so many people that they really do admire this space, and hopefully you can see it as sort of a framework celebrating what's Rudolph's inside there.